This is day 96, the Arukh HaShulchan OC shir. Today's the Arukh HaShulchan OC is being sponsored anonymously in honor and the schus of Rebbetzin Shoshana Michal Bas Rivka Rachel. If you would like to sponsor an upcoming shir or more of the Arukh HaShulchan OC, it would be greatly appreciated. Please contact me directly. Thank you very much. And we are now in the Siman Nun Tes, Sif Zion, and going to Siman Nun Tes, Sif Yud Gimel. And moving right along here. And we are talking about the Birchos Kriya Shema, and saying, in the Siman is going on to Zion, as we said, that excuse me. It's anybody doesn't say Emes V'Yativ in the morning and Emes V'Emunah at night. It's a Baram Brachas Doshim Mikra Laki Boker Chazdecha V'Emunascha B'Alilos, to say your kindness in the morning and your trust at night. Because Emes V'Yativ B'Kula Chesed Sh'Asim Avoseinu, the Brach of Emes V'Yativ is all about the Chesed which Kodesh Baruch Hu did with our forefathers. Shel Tiyamim Mitzrayim, he took them out of Egypt. Uvakal Em Hayam, he split for them the sea. Be'Aviram, and took them through it. Because Emes V'Emunah Medaber Bo Al Asidos, Brach of Emes V'Emunah at night speaks about the future. We anticipate Kodesh Baruch is going to fulfill for us His promise and His with trust. Or I should say that which He, that which we entrusted to Him. It's hard to translate here, but the matter of trust. He's going to put are going to sustain us and give us victory over our enemies, which are actually ongoing miracles that Kodesh Baruch Hu performs for us, not in the far future, but in the near future. And we're talking about the Golos, which is like night, and that we possess our Emunah even during that nighttime. That's why we mentioned this at nighttime. Yet, nevertheless, in Emes we reflect on the Yetzias Mitzrayim as well. So in order to juxtapose that with the Chasim HaSabracha, the signature, which is Gal Yisrael. And furthermore, we say Emes at night, because we entrust our neshamas every night in His hand. And He gives it back to us, rested and cleansed. Anew every morning, your trust is great. A person trusts and gives for safekeeping his spirit into the hands of a Kodesh Baruch Hu, and He gives it back without any toil. So what does Chazal mean when they say if you didn't say you weren't yotze your obligation? Even said the entire bracha, but did not begin with the words Emes V'Yativ, or b'arvis or night Emes V'Emunah, or b'shachris V'Emunah, or you switch to say by shachris Emunah and by arvis Yativ, lo yotzei dechos brachos, do not fulfill the obligation of the brachos. Ches kasam Rambam shah. The shachris pasach b'yotzer, or morning we open up the brachos yotzer or b'sim b'mariv aravim. If you open the shachris by Yotzer Or and you ended with Amari Ravim and said Yotzer HaMoros, lo Yotzer, you did not fulfill the obligation. Pasach Mari Ravim is CM Yotzer Or Yosa. But if you began the bracha Mari Ravim and then completed with Yotzer Or, you are Yotzer. Uverev a night Pasach Mari Ravim is CM Yotzer Or. If you began Mari Ravim correctly and finished with Yotzer HaMoros, lo Yotzer, you did not fulfill the obligation. If you began the bracha Yotzer Or, seeing b'ma'ariv ha'aravim Yotzer, that you fulfill the obligation. Why? Shekol brachos halchos achar chasim hason. All brachos follow their signatures, and that which he says the brackets here in Vayrish Mashkos B'Gemara brachos shachris pasuk b'Yotzer b'chulei kipshuto, and shachris yom Yotzer, and you finish with ma'ariv ha'aravim, etc. That is to be taken literally. Ches, the test. If you start in the morning saying Mariv Arim, this can be Yad V'Amar Yotzor, immediately you married say Yotzor. Become CM Kidin, you also finished appropriately. Bruchat Hashem Yotzor Maros, Yotzer, you fulfill the obligation. Avim Lo CM Kidin, but if you're not finished properly, or Shamar Baruch Chulei Yotzor Varech Choshech Asher Bidvaro Mariv Aravim. You start Yotzer, but then you switch to Mariv Aravim. V'gam Siyim Mariv Aravim, and you also finish the Mariv Aravim. Lo Yotzer, you don't have to fulfill the obligation. Now Siyim Baruch Atah Hashem Yotzer Moros Yotzer. Finish the Yotzer Moros, and Yotzer Akan Lashona. So the question is what the Torah exactly and precisely means. That's the Torah. The Emesh Amru Akolech Achasim Chisim. It's true that what they said. Everything follows the signature. Nevertheless, in Lois Klab Psychom we didn't mention at the opening something something which is akin to the way you're supposed to sign off. Ain't a bracha klav lo yotz. It's not a bracha at all. You didn't fulfill your obligation. Therefore, if you began just with Mariv Aravim, and even though you ended with Yotzer Maros, lo yotza, not fulfill your obligation. And that which decides that you are Yotzi is such a scenario. It means when you mention the beginning of the bracha, also Yotzi or. Such as you began and said, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Asher Baro Mariv Aravim Yotzor V'Choshech. You threw it in at the beginning as well. The CM Yotzer Moros, then you concluded with the Yotzer Moros. That's Shapas Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Yotzor V'Choshech Asher Baro Mariv Aravim. Switching the order there. V'siyim Yotzer Moros, but you finished the Yotzer Moros. Gankin Yotzer. Even though there's interruption in the middle, because at least you have something in a chasima at the psicha, something like the signature at the beginning. Of course, you didn't finish Yotzer Moros. Even though you opened with only Yotzer, lo Yotzer, you didn't fulfill the obligation. Same thing by Marav, in the opposite direction. The language of the Torah still requires, obviously, as Arukh HaShulchan initiated right now, fixing an explanation. Before I talk about Mefarshim. And Mefarshim had this best time trying to explain it. Miladino can't come in a so, but in any event, how it fits exactly into this solution, that's what he means to say, like we just said. This is the opinion of many of the Rishonim. They need a proper signature, but also, that's not enough. You also need to have an opening akin to the signature. It doesn't matter. In the middle, he interrupts the things which are not relevant. When this interruption is at the beginning, literally, but bench is still correct, or whether he started properly, the middle he interrupted. The main thing is he mentioned the matter of the bracha at the beginning and at the end, and the Yotzi. He didn't mention one of them. Either in the Psicha or the Chasima, you left out one of those two, so you didn't fulfill the obligation. Mr. Bura brings down name of the Bacham Prisha. They began with Mariv Aravim. You have to change Tokadei Dibur to Yotzer Or. But there are Chaim Paskins that even if you didn't remember until it was close to the end of the bracha, nevertheless, since you didn't end the bracha, you don't have to start the bracha of Yotzer Moros from afresh. But you should say Yotzer Or at that point until the end of the bracha, and you're Yotzer with this, and that is halacha l'maisa. I'm not sure Arukh HaShulchan would agree 100% with that. Perhaps going to be good. We go back towards the beginning, but not begin the bracha again from scratch. The halacha also brings the name of the Gro, passing like the Rashba and the Ramban, that everything has to do with the Chasima and not with the Psicha. So of course, something if you got the Chasima right, we would assume that suffices even without the psicha. Back to the Arukh HaShulchan. Case Chasar Abayah was said about the Shulchan see base. The didn't say no the brachas aruchas. Of course, it's only by long brachas that interruptions in the middle are not so significant. For the it's not by short brachas. These bar b'sim reish tests, and Sham is going to be explained much later on in the Arukh HaShulchan. Be'ezras Hashem is borach. When lo amar yotzer or karoi boben should circle over it. You didn't say yotzer properly. In manner you have to go back and make the bracha. Niskar b'amiras ava rabba, and you remember that only when you're ready into ava rabba. Leifsi to not interrupt. The mar yotzer achar shmona esrei. Wow. So yotzer after shmona esrei. The seder brachas ain't makir because the other brachas is not an impediment. The Mishnah Berurah argues on this. The Mishnah Berurah says that in that case you should say yotzer after ava rabba before kriyas shema. Okay. Big machlek is here. I don't think it's highly unlikely it's ever going to come Lamaisa. But if it came Lamaisa, my gut would say to go with the Mishnah Berurah on this, to say it there before it's its proper place. juxtaposed to Shema. Yud. Hadam Rina Yosem Mishosim Hashem Ashur Tzav. That whole segment there. He created his servants and whose servants, etc. Tikul Omar Kach, they made instituted to say, Mishnah Rina Mechagiga says in Mesech Lagiyo Shebchol Yom Nivroim Malachim in Nahar Dinor. Every day Malachim are created from the river Dinor. Dinor actually is Dinur, of fire. So they're constantly formed. Also Nivroim Cholam, those are formed every day. Vasher Mishorsa, but there are other Mishorsim, other servants, saying Kamo Michal Gavriel, Shemisham Tamil Vanvis Baruch, who are constantly serving before Kodesh Baruch Hu. They're not recreated every day, they are in a perpetual position. Did you know that? I did not know that. Yotzei Mishorsim, Asher Mishorsav, the first two types of Mishorsim. It's good to know. Then Besafa Bura, it says the Taisus, the Turin Taisus. Okay. Besafa Bura Uvinima Kidusha. Yesh Korsim Madalid Becholam. Some say the Dalid with the Kolam. Kidosha. Elkai, it's going to be a previous statement. Vinima Kedosha. Klamar Vinima Kedosha. In a holy melody. Yesh Korsim Bimelupum, which is what we call a Shuruk. Mathematikai, and it's going to Savara Vinima Kedusha Kolon Kechoranim. Right? Klamar Shonim Bira V'Kedusha. In other words, that we answer with Yira, the Kedusha, which were HaKedusha, we say Kedusha with Yira. Cheinonim B'Omrim B'Yira Kadosh. Right? It says Onim V'Omrim B'Yira Kadosh. V'yesh Korsim Onim Be'ima V'Omrim B'Yira. This is expired as Onim Be'ima V'Omrim B'Yira. Kasper Yitzchayim Shkein Ikar Ayin Shom. Okay, interesting. Sounds like the Arukh HaShulchan is pro even Nusach Ashkenaz saying Onim Be'ima V'Omrim B'Yira. But one thing I can tell you for sure is the way to say it properly, Rav Henkin writes, is even according to our Nusach Ashkenaz, it should be Onim, comma, V'Omrim B'Yira. Even don't say Be'ima, it should be a comma there. Onim, V'Omrim B'Yira. Because I remember in 6th grade was the first time I noticed that there was a discrepancy between the siddur we used in school and the Birnbaum siddur. We used in school the old Siddur Brachos Valdos, which is extinct basically today. And in that it said, Nima Kedusha Kolam Kechoranim. And the Birnbaum siddur, even though it was Nusach Ashkenaz siddur, Baltier Philip Birnbaum changed it to Nima Kedosha. And I asked my Rebbe at the time, Rabbi Aaron Gewurtz, why the discrepancy, and he said that Birnbaum made Tikunim al das Atzmo. Okay, he didn't put it that way. I don't remember how he said it, but I remember that he said it. He said that at the time. Okay, Yud Aleph, B'Kedusha should be Yotzer. In the Kedusha and Yotzer, when you say Kodesh Kodesh, have a Plutar Abvasa. There's a big machlekes. Shram Sham Kasa der Yochi Doga. The Ram says you don't say it. If you're an individual saying it, not in shul, you don't say it. I should put it differently. If you're an individual, you don't say that part because you don't say kedusha except tzibur. Das Rosh Kam Rishonim She'amra, and Rosh many Rishonim hold that you say it. Ain't say sipur dvarim. It's just relating a story. Mashma Malachim Amrim. What the Malachim say? Uvnosha Rambam b'tshuva. Hey, the Rambam Shechazabo. Rabbi Avraham ben Rambam wrote that the Rambam reneged in this thing. Gam came Besof Yomav at the end of his life. But like Shechid Omra, if an individual does say it, and this is the common practice in all the diasporas of the Jewish people. For Raya, let's say evidence for this. Evidence is we say it's sitting down. Avapiyazor, Dafka Miyushav, and according to Zohar, specifically sitting down. The Lomud, and not standing up. The Nikais Tfilas Miyushav Kayadun, it's called the Tfilah of sitting down. As well known. Vimhi Kedusha, Kedusha Shishman Esrei. If it's Kedusha like the Kedusha Shishman Esrei, hey, no random Miyushav, after we say it's sitting down. But Rabbeinu Beis says the question of Shenochon Shayochi Yomer B'Tamim and the Nikun Kekor B'Torah. Beis Yosef says it's proper to say it with a Nikun and with trup like we read in Torah Ayin Sham. The minig is not like that. I've never heard people reading it as if it's part of the Haftorah. But what does Mishnah Berurah here say? Mishnah Berurah says that it's appropriate to be mahader. If you're saying it biyachid, to say with nigun and trup in order that it should be covered, so to speak, the Rambam's original objection that it should not be said b'yachid. If you say kekore b'Torah, so then that removes the objection at least to a certain extent. Back to Arukh HaShulchan. Kasar Rabbeinu Ramah Kshanim Amein Kshanim Kedusha Zos Ramein Osab Kol Ram. When you respond to this Kedusha, you say it loudly. Ad Kan L'Shonai. Come and Avagav to have a secret for him, even though it's telling a story. They come Omrim B'Kol Ram. Nevertheless, you say it out loud. Okay, don't say, even though you would think that it's a story, you don't have to say it out loud. No, you should say it out loud. Mishnah Berurah says that Kol Ram is Dafka B'Tzibur. Again, he's being choshish for the earlier Rambam, evidently, and he's saying that a Yochid only says it silently, and the Eliyah Rabbah says the same thing. But the Shari Tshuva says it doesn't make a difference whether you're individual or a Tzibur, you say it B'Kol Ram. Or actually, that's not exactly what he says. He says it doesn't, even if you're a Yochid, you can still say it B'Kol Ram. That's what he actually says. Back to Arukh HaShulchan. Shamrim Kiula Bado Poel Gvros, when he say that he alone works works powerful deeds. Yesh Masim Mamri Kiula Bado Marom B'Kadosh. Those that he is the only lofty and holy Poel Gvros who acts with who activates wonders. And he says in the brackets of V'Nachanu Yesh Bohem Eser Sfiros. I guess if you say it that way, you get 10 prescriptions of praise. But nevertheless, in the Schashkos, we don't seem to say that. Yeah. Anyway, Lekel Baruch Hamlamed Bekamatz. El Baruch. I don't think we say that. I think we say Lekel Baruch. But he has here Lamed Kamatz L'chein Lo Melech. This is both from Kisva Arizal from the pre-8 Chaim. Okay. Yud Beis. Nogim Ashkan is the same Orchodash al Tzion Tiyir b'chulei. They Nogim Miskaim B'Schavar. They do not say this Orchodash al Tzion at Tiyir and the bracha. Chen Kosav Rashi She'enachtam but or a seed. Rashi says you should not mention the or the mention of Yusha. She'en Meina Chasima. It's not similar to the signature. Shouldn't bracha ala oram yischayesh chol yom, because the bracha is on the light which is renewed every day below orasi, not an eventual light of the eventual future. But the Rosh says no, it is appropriate. It is similar to the opening and the closing. Or because the creation of he created light. Light he created during the 6 days of creation. Was the light which is not appropriate for the world, this world, the guns at tzaddikim level, and it is hidden for the tzaddikim of the world to come. And that's the light concerning which Yeshaya Novi says, not the nations will go by your light. Come aboard Medrash Brachos. And this is the new light. Hashem is going to restore to us. And you can say concerning this, Yotzar Or, he created light, or formed light, and formed the luminaries. Sheikhrani Braitz was already created. So, according the minute is, of course, by the Ashkenaz to actually say it. Gimel. Brichas Yotzer im omer mashatz benachas. The Brichas Yotzer should say it together with the shots. And you should not rely on hearing from the shots. Only answer main. Mishnei Tamim. What 2 reasons? B'shili Rosh Hashanah 1. At the end of Rosh Hashanah it says that the shots. Shots in a motzi raksh in a bucky below a bucky. Should see only be motzi per person who is not a bucky, not conversant with davening, not a person who is conversant. But in front of him, I feel no mashemotzi, even gamas a bucky, and we know say that he is motzi. Those who are conversant, as we shall see. You come nevertheless ulai lo yishmaya feh. Maybe you won't hear precisely. And I'm listening words in his hearing, and he won't be yotze. Therefore, it's best to say together with the shliach tzibur. Halacha says you don't have to hear all the words mila b'mila for to yotze bracha. It's mitzvah min hamufchar, but it's not as absolutely essential. Shatz omer b'kol ram. The Shat says that out loud. V'yomar b'nachas. You should say it silently. V'lo b'kol ram, not a loud voice. Now, the Mishnah says in our day and age we're not makbid specifically to say it softly because everybody here is saying it themselves. Evidently, back to Arukh HaShulchan, It says out loud, they won't hear the voice of the shots. The Treika Lo Mishtamai, two voices cannot be heard. V'zeh EF Shar, and that is not appropriate. Sharei Hashat Tzurich Lo Tia Shem Bekim, Shetziras Emoti, those who are not conversant with davening. V'yimahel L'Seyam Bracha Kodim HaShatz, also you should be quickly finish the bracha before Shliach Tzibor. They Shuchal Anos Amen HaBrichas Hashatz, so you can answer Amen on the bracha of Shliach Tzibor. To answer Osapsik, in the middle of the bracha, you cannot interrupt him to say Amen. Nearly the Zel Shashatz Omer B'Mesinos. But that's only if the Shliach Tzibor is davening at a normal pace. I mean, Chotev, but if he's gushing ahead, Mutav Lomar B'Mesinos, it's better to say deliberately, V'lo Anos Amen, and not answer Amen. That's slow. Ein Amen Achrech. By you, it's not Amen, it's not necessary, compelling. Came with Shomer Lovato. So you're saying yourself. So Amen is not necessary. And you're not being good to the Shliach Tzibor anyway. Came with Shai Brachas Shachris Arvis. Also, the other Brachas Shachris, don't rush ahead if that's what it takes. Came with Matur Ayin Sham. It says the bracket is Bia Divrei Shulchan Aruch B'Sif Dalet Ayin Sham Veduk. Shulchan Aruch means